Mississippi. You've got one in Louisiana. 54321, 54321.
Right now on the National Weather Desk. Overnight tornadoes blow through the south, and we are there.
There are several areas that have sustained damage.
As Hawaii's Mauna erupts, concerns grow about risks there and on the mainland.
It might last most of 2023.
Is the Texas power grid ready for a bitter cold winter?
The leaders say they'll use all available tools to avoid blackouts.
And we'll show you the steps Oregon is taking to improve the number of Chinook salmon.
And they've returned back here to the Coquille River system, ready to complete their life's journey.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. Severe weather struck the south overnight. There was damage across multiple states, including this fire department in Mississippi. And unfortunately, there are reports of 2 storm-related deaths just north of Montgomery, Alabama. The strong winds here in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. This happened before the main line of storms arrived, but it was a sign of things to come. In Monroe County, Mississippi, the storms washed out this bridge. This is a truck in the water. No word on the status of those who were inside. Elsewhere in Mississippi, tornadoes took down trees and power lines. As of this morning, 44,000 customers in Alabama and Mississippi are without power. When the storms rolled in, residents knew they had to find shelter and fast.
You know, we're about to sit down and eat, and wind started hitting. We tried to got to a safe place as fast as possible, and as soon as we got there, it was over.
That's right. The National Weather Desk storm chaser Brett Adair is tracking the storms and damage as they move through the south. He checked in with us overnight.
There are several areas that have sustained damage, particularly Lowndes County, Mississippi was one of the hardest hit areas east of Columbus. We're going to be traveling over in that area to do some damage assessment and then back over into Louisiana. Across a couple of the parishes there south of Interstate 20 as a tornado touched down and did some pretty serious damage and even injured some individuals. We're We're going to be traveling across the areas on Wednesday to assess the damage as this severe weather outbreak plagued portions of the Deep South.
Tornadoes that strike overnight while people sleep are especially dangerous. They are twice as likely to kill people compared to daytime tornadoes. And as you can see on this map, the South is especially prone to them. Meteorologist James Bryant from our station in Little Rock was chasing the storms yesterday, and he captured these images in Yazoo City, Mississippi. He posted them on his Facebook page. Despite the ominous looking clouds, he says they did not produce a tornado. Well, here's a look at the map where over the last 24 hours there have been tornado reports. Notice highly concentrated in Alabama, in Mississippi. You got just one there in Louisiana. And in terms of what we're seeing today, the severe weather risks to include now portions of the panhandle of Florida, that pocket of southwestern Georgia, and southeastern Alabama. Line of storms continues to march toward the east. Eventually, areas like Charleston and Jacksonville, Mississippi will get the heavy rain, just not the storms that occurred overnight. Well, it was a tough night on the road for drivers in Washington's Snohomish County. On top of the low visibility, they had to deal with some slick roads. And this front could be just the start of more cold and icy weather to come later this week. Como's Mo Hayder was in Snohomish overnight.
As the snow falls, it's getting tougher for drivers here in Everett. Roads are so slick, this car slid in front of our photographer while he was gathering footage from the sidewalk.
The road conditions are really slippery. The people are driving way too fast.
A lot of ice and snow and just a lot of people driving too fast.
The speed on the road, in some cases, causing accidents.
There was an accident just up the street here. A lady plowed in the side of a car.
One driver tells us it's been a hectic ride on the way from work after nearly getting into an accident himself.
Getting off the on-ramp and spun out. Luckily, there's no cars in the way, but made it here.
Parking lots are collecting snow, and the nighttime makes it an even bigger challenge for drivers. To help keep the roads safe, crews from Snohomish County have 21 plows out, and workers are treating the roads with sand and salt. County officials say it's important to give them space.
I would just remind folks, try to stay at least 200 feet back when the plows are working and spreading sand. Don't try to pass them.
The low temperatures also making it hard on the county's homeless population. The Everett Gospel Mission opening up a shelter at the First Baptist Church.
It's more about buying everybody another day for tomorrow by giving them the opportunity. And so then also trying to work and offer services the following day.
In Texas, the Electric Reliability and Public Utility Commissions say the lights will stay on this winter. There are concerns after a winter storm in early 2021 that stranded the state's power grid. It really strained it to the point of failure, leaving millions without power for days. Let's go to Austin, Texas now, where reporter Jessica Taylor shares more from leaders on the concerns about the work they have ahead of them.
It is critically important to address the fact that there is a scenario where under the most extreme conditions there could be not enough power. That's not acceptable.
The worst case scenario proving to be just that. Based on the latest figures coming from the Seasonal Assessment of Resource Adequacy report, some extreme conditions put the grid in red, meaning not enough power.
This analysis is arithmetic, considering various different scenarios. We always will use every tool available, including calls for conservation.
Vegas and Lake maintain that for majority of the extreme scenarios and all of the typical weather conditions, there is adequate supply to meet the reliable operation requirements of the grid.
So really the majority of the actions that we've taken over the course of this year and a half are designed specifically to address any risk of load shed. The most impactful of those being the weatherization work that's taking place.
A slew of questions came after, asking how the public should feel about leaders maintaining they can keep the lights on while data says otherwise.
We're not trying to underplay it at all. It does reflect a very low probability scenario, so we want to be clear on what it is. It is a low probability scenario.
The leaders say they'll use all available tools to avoid blackouts, including more generator inspections, bringing on supplemental resources, and calls for conservation. In Austin, Texas, I'm Jessica Taylor reporting.
Now to Hawaii, where the Mauna Loa volcano is still erupting today. The biggest concerns on the Big Island this morning are focused on air quality and the possibility the lava could cross over some major roads. On the West Coast, some people are wondering if the eruption will pose a risk to the mainland. Rich Rodriguez is in Fresno, California, with the answers.
Sunday night, the Mauna Loa volcano finally came out of a 38-year slumber.
Mauna Loa is one of the most active volcanoes in the world. Over the last 4,000 years, it's had many, many eruptions.
Over the past 2 days, the lava flows have not posed any problem for downslope communities. No evacuations have been ordered, and schools remain open. These are pictures taken from Saddle Road, a key road that crosses the island. Lava flows are 6 miles away, and it remains open. Since early November, the number of earthquakes beneath the summit at Mauna Loa doubled. Professor Paterka says that was a signal to USGS scientists that an eruption might be near. He says underneath Hawaii, there's a constant supply of molten material rising up.
Mauna Loa is one of the largest volcanoes in the world, not just the most active. If you measure it from the bottom of the sea floor up to its top, it's actually bigger than Mount Everest. And so that's entirely built up of volcanic material.
What's bubbling to the surface could continue for months.
And they estimate that it's probably not going to be a very long eruption. It might last most of 2023 or half of 2023. But right now, they're predicting that it won't be a multi-year event like some Kilauea eruptions.
California won't feel a thing from the eruption. Professor Paterka says we're too far away.
A little later on in the show, we'll talk with a NASA scientist about the impact volcanoes can have on the environment. And take a look at this amazing sunset over Reno, Nevada. Here, the late-day sunlight caught the stratocumulus clouds, creating an incredible array of color above the biggest little city. If you want to see more great photos like this, follow us on Instagram. Just search the National Weather Desk. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, tornado safety and what you can do to protect yourself. And salmon in Oregon are dying off in huge numbers. We'll look at why and what is being done to fix it.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. Heavy rain and strong wind. That's going to be the big story in the Northeast today. Notice 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. We're already dealing with some rain and gusty winds back into New York. Heaviest rain and strongest winds will move into New England during the afternoon. Expect frequent gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour. Peak wind gusts will get over 50 miles per hour, especially near the coast. I think some power outages should be expected here. We will see some improvement Wednesday night and heading into the day on Thursday.
Meteorologist Jasmine Lomax with a look at the mid-Atlantic region. We start the day with rain all ahead of the next cold front. Expect showers off and on throughout the day, gradually tapering as we head into the afternoon. By the evening and the night, it looks mostly dry with the clouds clearing behind the front. It'll also be cooler, though, as we head into Thursday. Temperatures ahead of the cold front will be higher with numbers in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. But behind that cold front, temperatures will only reach the 30s and 40s.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your highs for today. After a lot of severe weather over parts of the south, we're seeing quieter conditions moving in, but colder conditions. 46 for a high in Nashville, 51 in Tupelo, 63 in Atlanta. Still ahead of the front is looking at warm temperatures in Florida, 80 Jacksonville, 83 in Tampa, 84 West Palm. You can see how we're going to continue to see those storms that have pushed through, clearing out and making way for clear conditions as we get through Wednesday. A few spotty showers Wednesday afternoon in Florida.
Now let's check to see the weather in cities across the country today. Let's start out in Browndell, Texas, where it's a brighter day behind yesterday's storms. Time to hit the links here, I guess. Highs around 60 degrees this afternoon. And a bit of a different story in Dubuque, Iowa, where it's going to be windy later. Mixture of clouds and sunshine. The high temperature only in the 30s with wind chill temperatures probably later in the 20s. And over to Lexington, Virginia, where it's overcast. It'll be windy later after the morning rain, switching to some partly cloudy skies for the afternoon. High temperature at 60. Oh, it's going to be much colder tomorrow. And we'll end in Dalton, Georgia, where morning clouds will give way to sunshine here. A high temperature just under 60 degrees. And check out this image captured by NOAA satellite. It's the eruption of Mauna Loa in Hawaii. Emily Gracie spoke with a scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab who's been researching the atmosphere post-eruption. Emily asked how weather and climate can be impacted by volcanoes.
So when there is a massive eruption, a massive volcanic eruption that managed to get into the stratosphere, that's the second layer above the troposphere. That's where most planes fly. So when the eruption managed to get all the way there, normally it injects a gas called sulfur dioxide. And this gas can actually mix with the water vapor in the stratosphere and create sulfate aerosols. And these aerosols are tiny, tiny particles, and they can reflect sunlight. And this then can lead to some cooling of the global average temperature of the Earth.
So I'm curious, is that a short-term impact, a long-term impact, or both, or dependent?
No. It is a short-term impact. It only lasts while the aerosols are in the stratosphere. So in the stratosphere, there is no rain to wash out these aerosols. So you have to wait until the aerosols slowly sink down back to the troposphere.
How long does that normally take?
Normally within 2 to 3 years. So, for example, Pinatubo injected a lot of sulfur dioxide, and it led to cooling of the atmosphere for around 0.6 degrees Celsius. So that will be 1 degree Fahrenheit for a period of around 15 months. There was an impact on temperature, but it's hard to say if there's an impact on other type of weather.
The current eruption in Hawaii is getting a lot of talk right now. A lot of people worried about impacts on weather and climate. How is this one different from eruptions you've studied in the atmosphere in the past? Do you see differences or similarities?
So I just did a preliminary checkup with the microwave beam sounder, and we couldn't see any SO2 sulfuric dioxide in the stratosphere. So I don't think so far this eruption is going to impact. So there's not going to be cooling due to the aerosols.
Luis told Emily that in addition to short-term temperature impacts, volcanoes also tend to disrupt air travel because the stratosphere is the level of the atmosphere where planes fly. This and all of our interviews can be found on YouTube. All you have to do is search the National Weather Desk and click on the interviews playlist. Well, with severe weather that sparked several tornadoes in the south, time for a reminder on tornado safety. Let's go to Cincinnati, Ohio, where John Gum talks about tornado safety.
Yes, tornadoes can hit in the fall and winter, especially across the deep south. Have a severe weather emergency plan in place for your home. Plan on where you would go for severe weather if it strikes with little or no notice. But usually we get a notice, and that notice typically starts with a tornado watch. That means conditions are favorable for the development of a tornado. It doesn't mean we have a tornado yet, but it means there could be one. We are watching for that possibility. But when a tornado warning is issued, that means a tornado has been detected by radar or a tornado has been spotted and could be on the ground, and that is when all bets are off. You got to seek shelter immediately when that tornado warning is issued. And usually when it's issued, that means we've either got strong rotation on radar or we have a radar confirmed tornado or one has been spotted. So what do you do in the event of a tornado warning? Well, the best place is to get to the lowest level of your home. Now, typically the lowest level of your home is going to include an interior hallway or a bathroom, something in the middle of your house. The idea is to put as many walls between you and the outside of the home as possible. Of course, if you have a basement, that is the best place to be. But not everyone has a basement, so get to the lowest level of your home, the middle of your home, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Again, an interior room, like a bathroom without windows, a hallway or a closet in the middle of your house, the best place to be. Have an emergency kit with a flashlight, a first aid kit, a whistle, bottled water. Make sure all your devices are charged. Now, when a watch is issued, make sure you're ready. Get that weather radio on, charge those devices, be prepared. And if the watch is issued before you go to bed, this is very important. Keep your phone volume up. Keep some shoes nearby. If you have a weather radio, keep that up and ready to go. If a warning is issued, put your shoes on. That's important. And head to your safe place.
Weather can have impacts in ways that we don't always see, and a major one is on animals and wildlife. Salmon in Oregon, just one of the species feeling the impact. Their numbers have dropped dramatically. In 2010, there were reported 30,000 Chinook salmon in Oregon. In 2019, that number was 275. So how is the region dealing with the problem? To find out, we head to Gold Meadows in Eugene, Oregon.
More than 150 pairs of male and female fall Chinook salmon followed the scent back to their home waters in Ferry Creek in Coos County, just downstream from the abandoned hatchery. They made their trip after spending several years in the Pacific Ocean.
We're spawning fish that have spent 3 to 4 years in the ocean, and they've returned back here to the Coquille River system, ready to complete their life's journey.
Those salmon were brought to the hatchery until their eggs were ready for spawning. A team of about 15 volunteers, including Coquille's Step, were part of the effort.
We have Coquille Indian Tribe staff, and we have the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife collaboratively working together, where we are harvesting the eggs and milt from the males, the eggs from the females.
Each female has 3,500 to 4,000 eggs. After they're fertilized, they spend 60 days under trickling water to simulate a natural river system. Once mature, they become baby salmon or sack fry.
Next spring, or perhaps next fall, we take those baby fish back out to the streams. In this case, Ferry Creek and 7 Mile Creek is where these fish will go. And they will acclimate in those streams, where they will imprint and learn that this is their home stream.
The incubator currently has 2 million eggs from the Coos River and just over 500,000 from the Coquille River, an answer to low salmon returns.
It's been incredible, just the response from our community. When we reached out to City Council and all of the local governments in our community, just talking about the fact that we were hearing from ODF&W that our salmon were becoming extinct, this community came alive.
And as we head to break, let's take over to the skies here above Cherry Grove Beach in South Carolina.
Good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. It's cold, only 15 for the high in Bismarck today. We got some rain in the Ohio Valley kicking out of here and a little bit of lake effect snow across the far north, fairly light. As we look ahead to the day tomorrow, it's still going to be kind of cool across a lot of the area. And by the time we get to Friday, we've got snow starting to move into the northern plains, while the rest of the Midwest is trying to warm up a little bit.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. We're starting out a little chilly into the teens across the northern portions of the area. Warm and humid with rain down toward the south, from Louisiana down to Brownsville. A cold front will continue to push on down to the south today, bringing breezy conditions throughout most of the region. At cooler temperatures will begin to warm up by later in the afternoon into the 40s, 50s, and some 60s. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Wednesday morning to you. Sliding out of November with some cold air in place over the Rockies and over Seattle and Portland, although thawing out enough that it's mainly a cold rain rather than that wet snow falling around the Emerald City today. Back to 40 in the Treasure Valley by Boise, Idaho. 60s for L.A. sounds pleasant, and 73 just right out of Phoenix. Big system, though, continuing to track in from the Pacific Northwest. That'll drop snow into parts of the Intermountain West as we head into the afternoon. And that's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
These may look like round snow-covered hay bales, but they're actually a unique phenomenon called snow rollers. Michigan meteorologist Joe Charlevoix says these need a special blend of snow, temperatures, and wind. The snow, compact, yet loose enough. Plus, temperatures near freezing, and the wind strong enough to roll them into formation without blowing them apart.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
We love showcasing the awesome content from our meteorologists. Now it's time to see what our viewers are submitting via Chime In. Let's start out with these rows of undulous clouds in Alabama skies. That is so cool. Oh. And in Colorado, this lovely sunrise over the Rockies. Yeah, I got to get there. And then finally out in Oregon here, capturing the end of the day and this sunset over the Columbia River. And we would love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us all over your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. All you have to do is search at NatWX Desk or National Weather Desk. And we'll be right back after this short break. It's pecan season. Tomorrow we'll take a look at how weather is impacting the harvest. Thanks for joining us. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. Make it a great Wednesday and keep an eye on the sky.